So by the summertime, I fully expect to have a barn right here in this spot.
I know I've talked a little bit about my plans in the past, but in today's video, I'm gonna give you the breakdown of exactly the barn that we're gonna be building. I even have all of the plans that I can show you so that you guys can get a sense of the amazing timber frame barn that is gonna eventually stand in this spot right behind me. And it's probably gonna even have housing for barn cats. And I'll also explain why we're building a brand new barn over here versus trying to update and improve our gigantic big barn that's right over here. Because believe me, I did spend a lot of time thinking about that question and trying to figure out what would be the right path for us to go with.
Good morning, Mr. Toby Dog. How's it going, buddy?
Good to see you, pal. Good to see you. How are you, pal? Ooh, you're a little bit soggy and you smell like wet dog, but I still love you. Yes, I do. Yeah, it's about 40 degrees Fahrenheit and rainy right now. It's definitely one of my less than favorite types of weather to be doing farm chores in. Oh, Abby Dabby Doo, where are you? It's time to say good morning. What do we do? What do we do? Yeah. Good girl. Good girl. You're a good boy. You're both good dogs. Yes, you are. Yeah, we're expecting heavy rain showers over the course of today, which is good because technically we're still in drought conditions. But it's bad because it's actually impeding our ability to complete the hoop coop here.
You know, we've actually built out most of the stuff that we need to build out. We're even finishing up some of these corners here.
And later this week, I'm gonna actually be getting some friends over here and we're gonna all work together to cover this entire thing in greenhouse plastic, which will not be easy to do.
And then once the greenhouse plastic's up, I'll build out the end walls. I've already got them framed. I just need to put up the siding for them.
I'm super excited about Hoop Coop 2. It's gonna be epic.
Would you look at that? It seems like the ducks are also excited about
Hoop Coop 2. They've even started laying their eggs in here already. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's a good thing. I hope that they lay all their eggs in here. You know, one of the hardest things about raising ducks for eggs is the fact that ducks like to leave their eggs pretty much anywhere they can. And so I'm consistently going on an Easter egg hunt.
Isn't that right, Abby Dabby Doo? Yeah. All right, let's fire open the hydrant. There we go. Open this one, open this one. Then I have to twist this valve to turn the water on for the cattle. And I'm now able to pump water for the cattle, the dogs, and the birds all at once.
It's funny that it took me all the way to fall to finally figure out my watering system, but I have it where I can just flip a switch now, and it's pretty incredible.
Abby, were you just drinking from the water hydrant? You love to do that.
You know, it's so funny to see the difference in behavior between Toby and Abby. Like, Abby is a dog absolutely obsessed with water. She loves drinking running water. She goes crazy for it. Toby's just not very interested in it. It's not that he doesn't drink water, he just doesn't go crazy over water like Abby does. But much like children, each dog has their own personality.
Your personality is the sweetest and most adorable, and your personality is to be the most energetic and fun-loving. Uh-oh, incoming. What do you geese say to these geese? You know, it's weird though, actually. They're flying north right now and they should be going south.
But what I usually find is that when the Canada geese are migrating, they will sometimes go in indirect patterns and paths in a way that they can like meet up and rendezvous and form larger groups.
You know what? You got a problem with Canada gooses, and you got a problem with me, and I suggest that one marinate.
There's a couple of pretty good sized lakes in that direction, and so I think those are like rendezvous points for the Canada geese.
I gotta admit, having all these birds is starting to eat me out of house and home.
Ever since the weather started to get cold, I'm noticing that the birds are eating less grass
and relying more and more on the grains I provide them.
Abby dog, are you fertilizing? Good girl. It's cool. Don't mean to embarrass you. All right, let's go check on the chickens.
Yeah, chicken colony, how are you doing? Looks like everybody's doing well this morning.
Yeah, I think they are now collectively all just one happy flock, which is wonderful to see.
I think the next decision I have to make is when I'm gonna move them from over here to over there.
I didn't want to move them until they became a cohesive flock, and now that they are a cohesive flock, I think they're ready to go to some fresh pasture.
With that said, they actually did a nice job of, I had like a whole bunch of pigweed like right here, and I had a whole bunch of goldenrod over there.
These chickens are doing a really nice job of disrupting the area so that I can drop fresh grass seed down.
Of course, one problem I'm noticing is they are starting to roost on top of my nesting boxes, and so that means I'm getting a lot of poop in here. My eggs are getting dirtier, so I gotta figure out a way to prevent them from doing that and keep them all in the roosts instead of up over here. You know, one of the advantages of the way I designed this mobile coop was to have cleanliness be like one of its top functions, so that it'd be really low effort and easy for me to take care of as the farmer. It's overall worked, but I find that every once in a while there's some fine tuning I have to do. You're such pretty birds. You're looking good there, Barbara. Hey, Uncle Buck. How's it going, buddy? I know a couple of folks have commented that I should just put Uncle Buck down, and I definitely will. He's gonna be going down for the count, I don't know, I guess about a week from today. That's when I'm gonna be doing the processing for really all of the birds that are gonna go down this year. Sadly, this video might be one of the last times that you guys see all the bird chaos that we have going on before we shrink down the flock for winter. Also, just so everyone knows, I actually slightly adjusted my numbers in terms of how many geese we're gonna be butchering this year. And so there are a few more geese that just went on sale on our farm store over at goldshawfarm.com. Check it out. You know, the way it works is you put your deposit down online through the website right away. And then we have several pickup dates where you can come to the farm and pick up your bird and pay the remainder. So with the purchase of a goose, you actually get an extremely rare tour of the farm where you can check things out, see what's going on, probably meet Toby Dog and Abby Dog and the barn cats, and it should be a good time. So go to goldshawfarm.com to check that out. Also, our incredibly popular I'm Not a Cat Person t-shirt continues to be on sale, probably for another, I think, week and a half before we take it off sale and we start to go to print. For all the folks who are kicking themselves for missing the Pablo shirt drop or the Toby Dog shirt drop or the Kurt Cobain shirt drop, this is your chance to get this shirt, because once it's gone, it's gone. So I'll leave a link for that shirt down below, as well as I will leave a link at the end of this video. Oh yes, would you look at that? The water is flowing quite nicely this morning. Of course, now we're starting to get some sticks and leaves falling in here. I move the water trough every, I don't know, usually it's about 3 days or so, and when I do, I give it a good scrub and clean it out. That prevents algae from building up and making the cattle sick. Speaking of the cattle, how's my moo crew this morning, huh? Good to see everybody. Hey, Annabelle, how are you, sweets? Good to see ya. How's my little Joey Ramone? Good to see you too, pal. You're filling out pretty good, huh? You're getting big, buddy. Audrey 1, it's a pleasant surprise to see you too. Looks like you're chewing on your cud. Good to see. Hey, Bonnie McMurray. Ooh, I can start to see your horn nubbins popping out now too. You're right there with your mom. Hey, sweetie. Good to see you. Yep, Ariel the Little Mermaid is my favorite cow, because she's the one who lets me touch her and pet her. And then we've got the beautiful Belinda Carlisle and her mom, Anne of Green Gables. And look at this big stout fella. Hey, Jimi Hendrix. Would you look at this? Jimi Hendrix is getting so big, he's almost as big as, well, not almost as big, but he's getting there. He's almost the size of Ariel. Look at that. Yeah, Jimmy, you are a big, beefy boy. Wow. Of course, I do have some bad news for him. You know, in about 2 weeks, I think 2 weeks? No, 3 weeks. He's actually gonna be getting castrated. So he was born a bull calf. We're gonna castrate him and make him a steer. Same thing with Joey Ramone. So in a couple weeks, yeah, everybody's gonna move over into the barn because we're almost into winter. And the boys are gonna get castrated.
What? What? What?
What?
I've been leaving them intact for right now because the testosterone from their testicles actually helps them grow bigger and faster. And so I didn't want to deprive them of that. But at a certain point, I need to castrate them or else they might start impregnating some of the other females. And, you know, Jimmy, for example, is Audrey's son, and Joey, for example, is Annabelle's son. They're still too young to knock anybody up, but it's also starting to get close, and so I need to take care of that. We also have a new bull calf edition coming. He'll be arriving, I think, probably like late December, maybe early January, whenever he gets weaned from his mother. He's gonna be the one who helps breed future generations on the farm, and he is not related to any of our other cattle. And I'm still trying to figure out his name, so if you want to drop a suggestion down below, I am very curious. Right now, the front runner name is actually Randy Macho Man Savage. So that's probably the one that people have suggested that I like the most, and so that might end up being it, but I'm still open to suggestions. Just know that because he's not gonna be a steer, he's not gonna get a dead rock star name. So I know some people keep suggesting like musicians and that sort of thing. I don't want to do that for the bulls. Bulls need a different name. I'm thinking it would be kind of funny to have a whole bunch of bulls named after wrestlers, and so that might be the way we go here. Ooh, yeah.
The cream of the crop! Nobody does it better.
Now, I know folks might be wondering, how's the herd settling in ever since our last steer, Kurt Cobain, left.
You might have seen in the previous video that he actually went to the butcher the other day. And honestly, things have like been completely normal and chill. In fact, I even find that the girls get less riled up now. And so, I don't know, I might try halter training them a little bit more, because Kurt was always sort of the bossy, protective one. And now I don't have that energy around, and I'm finding it's easier to work with the cattle.
In particular, a big beefy boy here. All right, so a couple of things. Number one, Belinda and Jimmy are half siblings. They have the same father. Actually, all of our calves have the same father. But notice how much bigger Jimmy is than Belinda. And then even look at like the features of his side profile and his neck. It's just like big and stout and beefy.
Meanwhile, Belinda just looks a lot more petite and slender. Bonnie McMurray also looks a bit petite and slender.
But if I compare Joey Ramone's profile to Jimi Hendrix's, Jimmy's just the big boy out there. But Joey, I still think you're very cute.
I know my crew wants some fresh grass. Hey, gals, come on, gals, fresh grass, come on, come on. I love that I can just call them and they just follow me. It's amazing.
So they will eat in this paddock for about the next 12 hours before I move them to the next one down.
Hey, gals, fresh grass, come on, gals. Hey, gals, come on, fresh grass, come on. So for the longest time, I've dreamed of having some sort of barn that I could use to house our cars and keep them out of the snow, house my tractor and my ATV,
House my tractor implements so they're not always getting buried in piles of grass.
Like I really have wanted for the longest time a structure that could serve as a workshop and barn and place to store equipment. And so I've been diligently saving my pennies and setting money aside. And I recently hired a timber framer who's gonna be helping me build this pretty sizable barn structure that's gonna go right here. Did you guys notice that as soon as I start putting sweatshirts on, Ginny's back to crawling on my shoulder? Makes me so happy. Now, I know you guys probably remember back in April when there was this old falling apart shed structure that we knocked down and took apart and disassembled and cleaned up and cleared this area out. For any good build, that's always kind of step one, is to make sure you have a site. And probably, I don't know, in the next couple of weeks, Alfred's gonna come back out here with his excavator and he's gonna level this space here and make it so we can actually put in concrete piers that will be used as the base of the building. You see, this barn here is gonna have a gravel floor. The reason we're building a gravel floor is because we're in such a cold climate and our frost line is so deep that in order to do like frost walls that wouldn't eventually crack, we would have to bury them very, very deep, and that would get very, very expensive. By just simply putting in concrete piers and then covering and leveling our floor with gravel, we're saving probably about 25% on the whole project cost. That, my friends, is a huge difference. And so this is gonna be a timber frame structure, meaning sitting on top of those piers will be, you know, various beams of timber that are joined together. The guy I hired to do the timber framing is super talented, and I'll probably end up making a future video where we take you to his workshop where you can see him this winter building out the frame and like actually making all the parts so that he can then bring it here on site and then assemble it. And that assembly process is probably gonna happen somewhere in like April into May. The plan is to get the site prepped and ready before the snow really starts to fly and the ground freezes. But then once the snow starts to melt, be ready to go with construction. I was hoping to get it all built this year, but unfortunately, given schedules and labor shortages, it was hard to get the full crew that we needed together to build it. And so we had to push our timeline back just a little bit.
So yes, that means actually one more winter of having all my crap outside. I actually even just bought this little like garage shed thingy the other day. I'm gonna assemble it and probably stick it over there.
That way I at least can get my tractor out of the snow. You know, there's nothing more demoralizing than having to come out here to clean snow with the tractor and having to clean snow off the tractor first. And while some of you might say I sound like a whiny baby, as I did my count, I did 58 days of clearing snow last year on the farm, and the year before I think it was 64. We get a lot of snow here in northern Vermont, and you have to kind of set up for that snow. And having a clean tractor ready to clear that snow is just part of the job requirements.
Now the structure of the barn is gonna be 1.5 stories tall.
The height of the first floor of the barn is gonna be high enough so that I can drive my tractor underneath it. The tractor is about 9 feet high. And so we've given ourselves enough height that even with snow on the ground, I'll be able to get the tractor in and out.
And the way it's gonna work is right about here, there's gonna be a large tractor bay door that I'll drive in and out of. And so for example, as I'm clearing snow, I'll be able to get out and over to here and clear the driveway. I can also get over to where the hay bales will be stored so I can feed the cattle.
I think at some point, what's grass right now might turn into an additional like gravel driveway extension just for practicality.
Coming over here on this side is gonna be where the garage bay doors go. We're gonna have 2 bay doors that are gonna be deep enough that you can store 2 vehicles per bay door. You know, right now we are a 3-car household between my truck, our older fuel efficient car, and then our electric car.
And so having the space to store those vehicles was important. We're also gonna probably put at least 2 electric vehicle chargers inside the barn.
So we can at least charge the 1 car, but
Who knows, we might end up getting a second electric car in the not too distant future. Particularly as we're starting to get all of our electricity from a solar co-op we joined over the summer. The fact that we have that relatively cheap and renewable source of electricity has me very much interested in continuing to convert our farm more and more to electric power. And yes, I know that the batteries on an electric vehicle are not the greatest thing ecologically, but there's been some incredible headway being made in terms of how to recycle and reuse those batteries. And the way I look at it, you have the imperfect nature of electric power and electric infrastructure up against the flawed nature of fossil fuels, and I would take electric power any day of the week in comparison.
when we ran electric over to that part of the farm a couple of years ago, one of the things I did was I actually had lines put in right here. And so I don't know if you can see these 2 little pieces here. There's open conduit as well as water and electric that run through that.
That means it's going to be very easy to include electric and water into the barn when it's time.
And yes, sadly, this lilac tree is gonna have to go because the corner of the barn structure is gonna be right here. On this side of the barn, I'm gonna have like an overhang that comes out, and that overhang is gonna give me the space that I need to store tractor implements.
Whether it's front attachments or large things like my brush hog or my snow blower, all that can go right here.
And then on the back side of this, we're gonna have, you know, just basically some windows and doors, but the plan will be that ultimately we're gonna build some sort of greenhouse off the back side of this for seed starts. You know, we have the good southern exposure this way, so it's the perfect placement for that sort of thing. It's not gonna be something that we do for year 1, but we're creating a situation where if we wanna do it in the future, we'll have that ability.
So yeah, as you probably can tell by this video, I'm pretty gosh darn excited about the build that we're gonna have here. Now, one question I know I'm gonna get is, why am I building a new barn when I have this gigantic barn sitting directly across from it? And the answer is, I really did want to retrofit this into the building that this building's gonna be. But as I looked at it and I priced it out and considered a lot of the challenges and things that needed to be done with this structure, it just wasn't practical. And in fact, retrofitting this gigantic old building was gonna cost me about 2 times as much as just building a new building over here. I know that seems crazy, but given the size of this building, what I would need to do to ensure its stability and that it could house certain things,
it would have required a tremendous amount of work. You know, even for example, like just doing the earthworks to make sure I could get my tractor in, because right now through this bay door, it's actually too low for me to even be able to drive the tractor into.
And so to structurally raise this up and make it so that it could sit like that, it would have just taken a lot more work. And when you make one change like that, it creates this gigantic ripple effect where I'd have to make other changes on the floors. I'd have to replace a whole bunch of stuff. And because it's such a large structure, it required a lot of skill and a lot of labor. And that drove the cost of the project up significantly.
So it's not that I ever intend to knock this barn down, but my plan for this barn will always be to use it for storage, as well as continue to house my cattle and maybe other animals here in the future.
You're gonna see me continue to do small repairs to this barn to make it so that it continues to stand, and I want it to be standing and in good condition long after I'm gone. But I highly doubt that you're ever gonna see me do modern upgrades and major renovations here. It's just gonna be simple, good barn maintenance. Now, if you're curious about this barn and you wanna flash back to some of the history, I'll leave a couple videos for you here. Just know that some of the things I said back then don't stand true today. And as the years have gone on, my thinking has evolved pretty dramatically.